good evening and welcome to everybody. I thank you for joining us, and do make sure you're subscribed to the Expats Portugal YouTube channel as well, if you will, and we'll get started with stress-free pet travel to Portugal with Canine Jets here and Adam Golder. So, Adam, before you get right into your presentation, how have you been in that year or two since we've last spoken? What's new for the company?
Well, it's just been an incredible 12 months, really. We've nearly in our second year of Canine Jets, and I think we've flown to date just over 2,000 passengers and pets across the Atlantic in total. So nearly enough people and pets to fill the Royal Albert Hall in London. So it's been a bit of a phenomenal whirlwind of the last kind of 19 months for us. And we've launched some new routes and trying to take over the universe as we are. But no, we've met so many great people and obviously their pets, pups mainly, and cats and the odd rabbit here and there as well. So it's been
okay, rabbits too now. All right, that's good to know. And I think the big message to people is this isn't just the kind of domain of the super rich. This is, you've made this an affordable thing in many ways, haven't you, with Canine Jets?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a premium option to transfer or fly with your pets in the cabin between country to country. But it's an alternative to cargo and, catching the Queen Mary across. So those are the kind of main options to get over to Europe from the US in particular. So.
Very good. And we've got a special deal, of course, for Expats Portugal members, which we can go into a little bit later on. So stay tuned for that as well. Yeah, so over to you then for the presentation, if you will, Adam.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. This isn't going to take too long to go through, but I just wanted to give everyone a bit of a background if they didn't know anything about the company, and to give you an idea of what we offer and, why it might be a great use for you guys to when you're looking at moving over to Portugal, hopefully next year or the year after. So my name's Adam Golder. I'm the founder of Canine Jets. We're a very small independent team based in the UK, but our predominant base is out of the US, which is actually where we are today. We fly out of Teterboro, which is a private airport in New Jersey, to 12 cities now, but obviously we're talking about Lisbon today. And to give you a bit of a background, from a pet moving perspective, we know there's over 500 million of pets worldwide. So it's, and how people have got close to their pets during COVID in particular has really moved it up on the agenda how you travel with them. We know from IPATA that there's 4 million pets that have moved in cargo every year across the world. So it's a huge amount of pets are moving around every day. But during COVID, the price of cargo in particular has really increased, which has increased the cost of putting your pup in a crate and flying on in the belly of a cargo plane or a commercial aircraft. But as I mentioned, pets have become even closer and more important than ever as being part of the family. And certainly our clients, class their pets as being part of their family and with their children, and they wouldn't want to put their children in a cargo hold necessarily. So this is where kind of the idea of Canine Jets is born out of. We in 2020 we launched a private jet brokerage, which was targeting actually and still running today the super rich who can afford to charter their own jet on their own. And we ran that for about a year. And one day we had a phone call from a young man, and he was desperate to move his Alsatian between the UK and back to the States. And he joined a Facebook group online, and there are many Facebook groups on now that do this kind of thing. And we worked with him to charter an aircraft and the other 9 people he'd met in our group to get back to the US. And it became quite obvious to people that sharing the price of a private jet wasn't too dissimilar to the price of cargo. So in 2021/22, we probably operated about 20 flights like this, where we're helping various different people from Facebook. But it became clear that there's a lot of risk involved in that from the passenger's perspective, because it involved one person chartering the jet and then other people sharing the cost with people they'd met on Facebook. So everyone that we flew over that first year, said to me, you just need to set up a company purely targeting the pet market, and allowing people just to be able to go on your website and buy a seat. So that's where Canine Jets was born, out of that first sort of kind of year or two after COVID, and that's where we started today. So we launched the business in early 2023, about 19 months ago now. And like I said earlier at the beginning, we've flown over 2,000 passengers and pets across the Atlantic. This is a bit more about us. We're the world's first service of this type. So we're really trying to pioneer this space, and like I said earlier, develop our routes and how everything works. The difference between us and other similar companies that do exist that don't fly to Lisbon are that we are aviation specialists. So we have a small team, but with a wealth of aviation experience. So which is really important when you're moving, people and pets from A to B. We're an IPATA member, so where they recognise us as an official pet transport company. We're also UK ATOL accredited in the UK, which basically means your money's protected when you fly. And then, like we mentioned, we have an ever expanding network. So currently we fly only to Lisbon from the US. We are looking at potentially a route from the UK next year to Portugal too, which I think will open up a whole different market for people looking to move to Portugal. But we have some great reviews online. Please check us out on Trustpilot. I think there's over 80 reviews from people that have flown with us. So please have a look on there. But I just want to play you a very quick video just to give you a bit of a summary of how it works, and show you a bit more information and imagery about how the aircraft looks when you fly with us. So I believe the audio isn't working completely as it should, but we'll play the video, and hopefully you can get the gist.
Canine Jets is the world's first pet-dedicated pay-per-seat private jet service, which allows you to travel with your pets in the cabin. All of our flights operate from private terminals across the globe, providing you with comfortable surroundings and a stress-free environment. You only need to arrive 60 minutes before departure, and all pups travel in the cabin freight-free. After landing, you'll be through customs in a matter of minutes and free to continue your onward journey. Booking couldn't be easier. Head to our website and simply select the route and month you want to fly. Or you can leave the date blank to see our full calendar. If you're looking for a destination inspiration, take a look at the Where We Fly section. Once you've chosen your date, select Book Now and follow the easy on-screen instructions for passenger and pet details. We allow one large pup over 51 pounds per seat booked, or 2 pets that weigh no more than 50 pounds each. The booking process only takes a matter of minutes to complete, and you will receive an instant acknowledgement of your reservation. Full payment is required upon booking. We accept American Express as well as most credit and debit cards. Alternatively, you can pay by wire transfer. Your payment is protected in our US escrow account until your flight is completed under the regulations of the US Department of Transport and UK Civil Aviation Authority ATOL scheme, so you can rest assured that your money is safe. All of the aircraft we use are Gulfstream private jets, which are operated by a licensed air carrier, and they carry a Platinum Argus safety rating. The maximum number of passengers we accept is 10, and typically there are 9 to 10 pups on each flight. We never oversell and monitor bookings of larger pups to ensure there is no crowding on board. All of our flights are sold as one way. However, most of our flights have a linked flight, an outbound and an inbound. As soon as the flight you book and its linked flight meet the minimum 75% seat threshold, we will confirm that your flight is operating as scheduled. To reassure you, in the last 12 months, 95% of our flights were confirmed and went ahead as planned. Nearer to departure, we will send you a video briefing and a bespoke flight brief containing everything you need to know from departure to arrival and everything in between, including the pet documentation required. The Canine Jets team are available 7 days a week to answer any questions you may have, so don't hesitate to reach out at any time. We hope to see you on board soon.
So hopefully that gave you a bit of an insight of what to expect on our flights. But these are just going through, kind of highlighting just some of the great reasons why people use this compared to other methods. So obviously you get to fly with your pet in the cabin, whether it be a dog or cat. As I mentioned, occasionally rabbits and guinea pigs as well. But there are no crates on our flights. As you saw in the video, the pets sit by your feet or in the aisle next to you. You just need to arrive 60 minutes before, because we depart from private terminals. There's no queues of security or anything like that. It's very, very, very relaxed. And you board the aircraft about 15 minutes before. But until that time, you have access to the outside areas and grass for those comfort breaks for the pups in particular, which is obviously super important. Majority of our flights leaving the US coming to Lisbon, in fact, all of them are at night time. So we leave at 9 p.m. and then arrive around 8 a.m. the next morning. The reason why we do that is because it's a night flight, and generally the pups will be more sleepy at that time. And because of the white noise of the engines, they'll sleep through just shortly after takeoff until they wake up on the approach into Lisbon the next day. They'll never leave your side. So once you disembark the aircraft to the other side, you'll stay with your pet right until you clear customs and the pet team at the arrivals area in Lisbon Airport. But it's stress-free. I think a lot of our customers, worry about their pets when they're looking at different methods of travel, and especially will potentially put off a move to another country or relocation opportunity because of their pets being a huge part of their family. So by being able to offer a service where they can fly in the cabin with you, stress-free, is great peace of mind for everyone, including the pups. It's almost that they know that they're being treated like VIPs. So it's very very interesting to see. Some of the added benefits on board. So all our crew are pet friendly. They love doing these flights, and myself and the rest of the team will make sure that you have your hand held through the whole journey. The added benefits are there is a full bar service. There are meal service on selected flights. Lots of things to keep you entertained, and also personalized gifts for the pups and cats that fly with us as well. But how our flights work, as you saw from the video, so we're a shared flight service. We're not a scheduled airline, so we have to sell a certain number of seats for it to be financially viable for us to fly. However, all our flights in the last 12-18 months to Lisbon have gone ahead as scheduled, which is great. Now we have a flight every month, actually, from January, which is sold out, but from February to December to Lisbon. And then we hope to increase that for later in the year as well. But if you have one large dog, that classes as one seat. So one passenger can bring one large dog. Or if you have two smaller pets that are under £50 each, you can bring them on as a single passenger as well. We get a lot of questions about luggage, and so although we're not a commercial airline, so there is a limitation on the amount of weight that we can bring on. So 30 kilogram bag per passenger. Once we reach the seating threshold, which is generally 75%, the flight is confirmed, and you'll get an update and go through the briefing process from there. The pet documentation is probably one of the most stressful parts of the flight or the move. However, we have a team that we highly recommend to use in the US who will hold your hand through everything for a very small fee and make sure everything's completed as it should. And two last things from our how we work is that as standard, all our flights are carbon offset. So when you fly commercially, you can opt in or out whether you want to offset your carbon, depending on how you feel. However, we believe it's super important. So as standard, included in the price of your ticket, we offset the cost of the carbon from every flight. We also support various charities, one particularly called Animal SOS, which is in Sri Lanka, helping stray thousands of stray dogs and cats that are in Sri Lanka. So who our customer profile, just to give you an idea, this figure is from a previous presentation, but majority of people are relocating that fly with us. They're either retired and relocating to start a new life, or they're working in the tech or banking industry, or they're just visiting for a short amount of time because they have two homes between the two countries. In terms of our pet profile over the first year of our business, so 93% of our passengers were dogs, just over 6% were cats, and others were rabbits, and we've had a few birds that fly with us as well. But in terms of our breeds of dogs, if you're interested, so our top number one is following mixed breed is Labrador, then Golden Retriever, French Bulldogs, Cockapoos, which I'm sure you guys might have some at home too. But where do we fly? So we, like I mentioned, we fly our biggest base is New Jersey. Obviously, we're based in the UK, and we do fly out of London as well. But Milan, Dublin, Dubai, Frankfurt, Geneva, Paris, Lisbon, and London is where we fly from New Jersey in the US. And as I mentioned, hopefully next year, next summer, we may be looking at a UK to Lisbon service as well for anyone that's watching this presentation from the UK.
That's not news. There's some very good news there. That's great.
Yeah, hopefully. So I just want to just add this in. How do we compare against a cargo cost traditionally for a large dog? So this is Buddy here that flew with us a few months ago. And he was between, I think it was £75 Golden Retriever, but and basically the cost per seat to fly with Buddy would be just under $12,000. So it's $11,850, which is about 11,300 euros, I guess. And compared to that with cargo, so with Buddy in particular, because he's a large dog, he has to have a crate built specifically for his size. So for that and transporting to and from the airport, the cost for cargo would be just under 10,000 US dollars, or just over 9,300 euros. So when you look at the comparison of two, where with Buddy going in cargo rather than flying on the jet with his owner, you can see it quickly makes sense. So just thought I'd add that in there as well. And lastly, really, just before we go into some questions, if anyone, you guys have any, I just want to play you another short video, just for some passengers that have flown with us over the last year or so.
I'm Erica, and this is my dog Lennox. She's a 5-year-old German Shepherd cattle dog mix.
So my name's Liz Jones. Here we have Layla. Then we've got little Mo, his father Digby.
My name's Maddie, and I have got with me Winston, who is known as Worldwide Winston on Instagram.
My name is Gary, and my dog is Marley, my Golden Retriever.
A couple months ago, we found out I had a job shooting a new series in New York. So when we got the news about that, we said, okay, are we going to try and fly for the first time? So K9 Jets was kind of the only thing that really made sense for her.
Last year, we were relocating for my husband's work to the US. Our main concern was getting these guys across safely and comfortably. I just came across K9 Jets and it immediately appealed to me. It just seems such a great solution to a problem.
We now actually live in London for about 9 months of the year, but New York has always been our home. We're now going back and forth with business and whatnot. So, every 6 weeks, 2 months, I got to figure out the best way to get to New York and back. And I found K9 Jets, and I've realized how smooth the process is.
Something that I absolutely love about K9 Jets is it really values people for having their pets as family, and they get to fly in cabin with their humans.
The thing that was so important to me was that there was no delay. The fact that we knew for her first flight that it was going to be a solid 5 hours was really calming.
Waiting for the flight, there's no long queues, there's no delays or anything like that, which are always happening at normal airports. This is a massive benefit that I didn't actually realize.
It's much more relaxed flying with K9 Jets because they also have an agency that helps you with all the documentation and paperwork. Made it so simple. It was the breeziest thing I've ever done.
to have them in the cabin with you, it's like having another member of your family. They deserve the respect that we'd all afford each other. I thought it would be a bit stressful, but actually, once you're on board, everybody is relaxed. The dogs all settle down, and it means a lot to have them with me. I find it comforting, and I know they find it comforting too.
So something I love about Canine Jets compared to other airlines that I've flown with is that they are completely catered to the dogs, and they also really think about the safety of the animals as well. I know people fly with their dogs all the time, but this was going to be a very stressful experience if not for Canine Jets for me.
It's so easy and so comfortable now to fly between the US and the UK that actually I did take them back again when I flew back for Christmas, and will do again if I'm going for an extended period of time. They've got a very clear website. You can't go wrong. You just choose where to, where from.
What Canine Jets really actually helps with is the fact that in and out of the plane is so time efficient that Marley gets to relieve himself or even just have a little walk so much quicker than normal commercial flight. And I think that's a massive point that people don't realize until you take that flight. I think Canine Jets is just easy. It just makes traveling easy, and I think that's what people want.
Flying long-haul flights can be really stressful, and having something like Canine Jets makes it so much easier, not just for the owners, but the dogs as well. Would we recommend Canine Jets? That is a yes. That death glare is a 100% yes.
So there you go. I hope you could hear that at home, and the sound came across great.
I'm Eric.
But thank you so much for letting me share our community with you and our business. And yeah, feel free to, if you have any questions you'd like to ask, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yes, please, Adam. Stick around for that. If you've got any questions, put them into the chat. Great presentation. Good to see you again, Adam. And I just want to go on holiday with my dogs now, seeing that. And this is why Expats Portugal should have their own private jet, I think. The convenience you speak of is amazing. This is why people have private jets, isn't it? That convenience of just rocking up to the airport, getting on the plane, basically, and flying. You're spared all the extra hassle that people are familiar with at airports with this service. Absolutely brilliant. Let's just check in, see who's here tonight. Clint's in from Seattle, Washington, and LaRonda is in Pismo Beach at a freezing 55 Fahrenheit. Do you allow birds? This is Ethan's question. No funny comments, anybody. Of course, they can't fly themselves over to Portugal. Yeah, do Canine Jets allow birds? Caged birds, of course, Ethan adds.
Yeah, we do. It depends on the on Lisbon in particular, if it's Lisbon that you want to fly into. Different airports in different countries have different restrictions. As far as I know, we haven't flown any birds into Lisbon, but we'd have to check out with the customs team to see whether that'd be allowed first. But yeah, we can do. We physically can do. We just need to check with the country or Lisbon authorities in particular.
So from your point of view, absolutely no problem. You just need to check with the country of arrival on that service for birds. There you go, Ethan. Clint has Jenny, the 4-year-old Frenchie, I think, who was 4th of lists of breeds that you bring across. So yeah, lovely picture of Jenny there. Thank you for that, Clint. How do we get the dogs from Lisbon to wherever else we're going? What do you suggest to people for that, Adam? Thanks for that.
So yeah, it's depending on how far you're going, but there is a car service where you can obviously rent your car from Lisbon Airport if you want to drive yourself, because the majority of all the car rental companies are pet friendly. Or there are driver options as well. So the terminal that we arrive into, the handling team there can arrange a car to be there or a driver to be there, just depending where you want to go, So it's super easy.
So no problem there, Susan. Thank you for that question. Dawn, do you have restrictions on dog breeds? I guess that issue comes from dogs that sometimes have difficulty with breathing and sort of respiratory issues. How does that work for canine?
So yeah, we don't with the flat nose pups. That a lot of them aren't allowed to fly in commercial cabins or commercial airlines because of their own restrictions. We actually do allow them on board. But in terms of dogs that aren't allowed into the country, again, it depends on the law of the country that you're flying into. So Lisbon does have a list of banned breeds that aren't allowed in the country, which I can share after the presentation, or it's very easy to Google yourself. But yeah, so the same restrictions apply from a banned breed perspective. But for the flat nose pups, as like French bulldogs, for example. We have lots of those that fly with us that aren't allowed to fly on a commercial jet.
Great. So yeah, Dawn's saying you have a pit mix, which is allowed into Portugal, so not a problem for you or Portugal in that instance there. Thanks, Dawn. Any more questions, pop them into the chat. Scott, just clarifying here, and I'd like to as well, your price includes the pet and one person. Is that right? That's the all-in price, isn't it, for owner and pet to make that flight?
Yeah, that's correct. So it's a one passenger and one large dog, or two smaller ones that are under £50 each. So or pets. So some people have cats, obviously, as well. So, but yeah, that price includes the passenger as well.
Very good. Okay, and the comparison you gave there is very favourable, isn't it? When you lay it out like that, quite
Yeah, I think when someone's relocating countries, it's always great to lay this out in terms of your budget when you're looking at the total figure of moving across to a different country. So, and when you look at the difference between cargo, it's very similar. So.
Well, and the quality of the experience is just, I mean, it's a completely different league, isn't it? So very good. Some other FAQs that we'll go into, and the big question I think on everybody's mind, and when I was talking to somebody earlier on today, where do the animals go to the toilet? Wherever they like was the answer of the person I was speaking to. That's not the case, is it, Adam? How do you manage that?
No. I mean, there's no real science to it, but we encourage all our passengers not to feed their pets about 5 to 6 hours before the flight. So the idea is that our passengers and customers know their pups' routines, so to speak. But the idea is that they've been to the toilet, used all our grass facilities beforehand, and they fly empty overnight, just as they would do at home. And then
exactly. Yeah, that's the comparison, isn't it? Or if you were going out for the day, you'd walk your dog in the morning. They would stay in the house all day and expect to get back and go out for a walk. It's a very similar arrangement, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But we do have an abundance of puppy pads on board just for accidents that may happen. So yeah, we're fully prepared.
All right, very good. Now, you did list the destinations? Could you just quickly recap on those for us? Where you fly into?
Yeah, so we're from Teterboro, New Jersey, which is a private airport next door to Newark. We fly to Lisbon, so we fly to the main Lisbon airport, but we use a private handling facility. So it's the main Lisbon airport that you may have flown into already to go and explore Portugal. But the other cities that we fly to from New Jersey are London, Paris, Frankfurt, Milan, Dublin, Geneva, and somewhere else, which I've just forgotten off the top of my head. So
fair enough. In the presentation, did you put you on the spot there? But people can recap the presentation there. That's absolutely fine. And then the addition possibly next year of UK into Lisbon as well.
Yeah, we've have a lot of demand from the UK that want to travel to more so the south coast, where traditionally the Brits will be relocating to. But yeah, so probably would add a London to Faro on next year, hopefully. But we'll watch this space.
Very good. Okay, so now, I mean, is that a good example of the sort of jet you'd be using that's behind you?
Exactly. Yeah. So this is a Gulfstream. There's G4. Typically, there's 13 or 15 seats on board in total. But as I mentioned, as Helen mentioned in the video, that we typically have 9 passengers and 9 pups on board, just depending on who's booked, really.
And you basically spread out, and you have lots of room to move and to be with your pet in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's we put together a seating plan that's based upon the breeds and sizes and temperaments of the pets that are on board, and it's a bit of a Tetris puzzle trying to do that and put them together. But yeah, no, this it's offers a great experience for the pets and the passengers on board to get across the Atlantic.
Not unlike a sort of pets, a veterinary waiting room, but you've thought about it before, and you're putting people together, dogs together and cats together, presumably for ease of environment and stress freeness, if I can put it like that.
Yeah, but it's a very bizarre process. But I mean, there's no real science to it. But all the passengers and pets have to meet an hour before the flight, and it's for our socialization process. And we introduce them slowly together who they're going to be, who's going to be the pack of the night, if you like. And yeah, I mean, 99% of the time there's absolutely no issues, and they all get on fine. Occasionally we have to reseat someone that just for whatever reason the two pups don't get on. But yeah, we quickly reseat them on the ground before they go on the plane, and yeah, it's very smooth, very quiet flight typically. Across
that happens with people. That happens with people as well. Airlines are used to that. But
yeah.
So it sounds like a very rare occurrence that there's any difficulty. That's amazing. Have you had your first wedding yet of people who've met on these flights?
No, not yet. We had someone propose a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, no marriages yet.
Right. Okay, we've got a couple more questions, but just one more thing about the luggage allowance. If you could remind us of that, what does that look like exactly? Could you visualize that? I mean, people might have some idea of bring loads of stuff. What's the allowance that look like?
Well, it's 30 kilograms, or in the US, £70. So it's one large suitcase and a wheelie case. So traditionally, when you fly commercially, you'd have above your head here, you'd have like a bit and a bin. You'd stick a 10-kilogram wheelie case in there, but there's no overhead bins on the private jets. So a large case and a wheelie case that just goes into the hold of the aircraft, and then on board in the actual cabin, you just have a very small bag for your absolute essentials, because you can see behind me. There's not much storage space or any. So the bag can we want to give you guys, or the people that are flying with us, as much room as possible.
Yeah, it's made for relaxation, isn't it? And a pleasant flight, that cabin there. Great. Okay, we've dealt with your questions, Susan, about the amount of luggage. Also, I understand you have a company that helps with the paperwork in the USA. And that was one of the people in your video there saying that really helped to have somebody taking care of that.
So that's probably one of the most stressful parts of, once you've booked, you've got to do the paperwork. And Lisbon, are one of the European countries that are probably most strict with their paperwork, and it has to be pre-cleared. And if there's any mistakes, there's no time to fix them. And as we've flown so many people now, we're finding more and more people that unfortunately getting really bad advice from their vet that they've trusted for years, and unfortunately that can cause huge problems on their journey. So we've got a company that we recommend. They're a small business like we are, and they're a virtual service, and they'll hold someone's hand through, from starting the paperwork to, get into the helping them to get to Lisbon with us. So it's their details on our website. They're called Positive Pet Health Certificates, but their details on our website.
Very positive. I see what they did there. Very good. Okay. We'll stop our streaming to YouTube now, but we'll invite you back, YouTube viewers, to join us for the Dream Team session at 9 o'clock Portugal time. So in under an hour, please come back to the channel to join us for the Dream Team session. So I'll say goodbye to you for now. Let's just check if there's any more questions here. Clint, here on Zoom, Expats Portugal member, what are a few common mistakes or unexpected challenges that have come up for travellers? It sounds like with all the briefing you do, there isn't much room for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that, like we just touched on, the main issue is the paperwork. So that has to be correct, and they have to be. We don't clear it; it has to be cleared by the team in Portugal from the airport vet, and that's normally the area where there's any sticking points. But as long as you've gone through the process properly, and you have a great vet or use our service that we recommend, then there's never any issues. But yeah, that's the only sticking point. I guess the other point probably to make out as well, there's a lot of people that are applying for their visa to move, and occasionally they think it's going to get there and it hasn't got there. So where possible, when people know that, we can move them into a different flight where possible. So
that's good. That's really helpful. To know that, Adam. Thank you very much. Okay. Anything else you want to tell us whilst we're still recording? Because this will be shared on our YouTube channel and with our Expats Portugal members. Anything else that you want to add? A very comprehensive and excellent presentation. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I think just thank you so much for listening. If you want any one-on-one advice, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and more than happy to have a personal call with you guys. But also as an expat member, the team will have a special code which they can give you to get $250 off each seat booked with us. Added bonus. So please reach out to Jerry or Astrid and the team to get that code.
Very good. That sounds great. $250 off then for the flight. Adam, for the timing, will you stay just a little bit longer, because there might be some questions that our members here want to ask you that's not on the recording. So for the time being, thank you very much. That was excellent. Superb.